So till now we have discussed the errors in chaining, and the next topic is adjustment for incorrect chain length. So suppose if we are using chains which are defective, which are long or short. Suppose if we are using a chain of 30-meter length and the chain that we are using is defective, it is lengthier than 30 meter or it is shorter than 30 meter. So in that case we need to apply some corrections. If the chain with which we are doing the survey is defective, so here are the corrections that we need to apply. First, if the chain that we are using is of 20-meter length, watch very carefully, if the chain that we are using is of 20-meter length, then the correction that we can apply is of 5 millimeter. This is the maximum amount of correction that we can apply for a 20-meter length chain. This correction can be plus or minus. So if the chain length is 20 meter and the correction applied to the chain is 5 millimeter, and if it is plus, then the final length will be 20.005 meter, or if it is minus, then the final length becomes 19.55 meter. That means 20 meter minus 5 millimeter ultimately becomes 19.55 meters. Just like that, if the chain is of 30 meter length, then the maximum correction that we can apply is 8 millimeter. This is the maximum amount of correction that we can apply. It can be plus or minus. If it is plus, then the final length becomes 30.00 meter, and if it is minus, then it becomes 29.992 meter. So these are the maximum amount of corrections, 8 millimeter and 5 millimeter. These are the amount of corrections limit, actually we can say, that we can apply on defective chains. Now the question is that when it is going to be positive and when it is going to be negative, the corrections. Suppose we are using a chain of 30 meter, but it is supposed to be 30 meter, but the chain that we are using is lengthy. We don't know. We are thinking it to be 30 meter, but it is not 30 meter. It is lengthier than 30 meter. Suppose the chain that we are using is defective one, and by mistake, the chain is of suppose 30.2 meter. I am just giving you an example. We are thinking the chain is 30 meter long, but by mistake, due to various reasons, the chain got elongated and it has become 30.2 meter. So in that case, the correction that we need to apply is positive. That means we have to do plus 5 millimeter. And here, in case of 30 meter chain, we have to do plus 8 millimeter. But if the chain that we are using is shorter than 30 meter, suppose we are using a chain of 30 meter, but due to various defects, the chain is of actual length, it should be 30 meter, but due to some defects, it has become 29.5 meters. So it is actually shorter than the actual length, the original length. So if it is shorter than the original length, then the correction that we need to apply is negative. So these things you need to write down, that if the chain is longer than the designated or given length, then the correction is positive. That means we need to make it plus. Then it will be plus 5 millimeter. But if the case is reverse one, if the chain is shorter than the given length, then the correction is negative. That means we have to subtract it. Then it will become minus 5 millimeter or minus 8 millimeter. So you can write it down. You can pause the video and note it down. Okay. Now there are some formulas by which we can find out the true length. If the chain that we are using is a defective one, then how can we find out the true length? So these are the formulas by which we can find out the true length through area and through volume. So you can pause the video and note down these formulas. Things will be more clear when we do some numerical problems. So all you need to do is note down these formulas.